Sitaram, everyone. We'll be ready to start in about 3 minutes. So Sitaram, everyone. On behalf of the management of the Shri Krishna Mandir, and on behalf of the devotees of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita class, welcome to everyone. It is our honor and pleasure to be in your presence. So before we begin, we would like to start with a brief prayer. So as always, and the slides on the screen for everyone to follow. So we begin always in the name of Sri Ganesh. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Ekarantaya Vidmahi. Vakratundaya Dhimahi. Tano Danti Prachodayat. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Then we meditate on this form, the international Murti. Om Aim Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Han Hanumate Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Shri Hari Krishnaya Vasudevaya. Hare Paramatmani Pranataklesha Nashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om. Then, to Lord Shiva and Parvati, Om Vagarta Viva Sampraktau Vagarta Pratipattaye Jagata Pitarau Vande Parvati Parameshwarau. Hey Bhagwan Shiv, hey Mata Parvati, you are like the sun and the rays of the sun. One cannot be separated from the other. So too you are like the word and the meaning of the word. A word when spoken, whether that is a man, woman, the word dog, the word tree, there are meanings associated with the words. Hey Mata, hey Bhagwan, so too you are like the word and the meanings. Please bless us so we may understand the words of our lecturer today and also the meaning of the words. Then we bow before Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Om Partaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Ritavarishani Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayanim Amba Tvam Anusandharami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshanim. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And then the 18 names, which are the essence of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Om Gita, Ganga, Gayatri, Sita, Satya, Saraswati, Brahmvidya, Brahmvali, Trisandhya, Gehini, Ardhamatra, Chirananda, Bhavagni, Bayanashini, Vedatrai, Para, Ananta, Tatvartha, Gyanamanjari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we begin. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Ata Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So devotees, it is my great pleasure to welcome a representative from Swaha International, Pundit Ishwar Maharaj, to talk to us about chapter 9, Raja Vidya Raja Guhya Yoga. Pandit Maharaj is a principal of Swaha College. He has over 20 years teaching experience. He has his MSc in education, a postgraduate diploma in education, a BSc in zoology and botany, and also he is the secretary of the board of Swaha Incorporated. It is our great pleasure to have Pandit Maharaj with us to talk to us about this most beloved chapter, the Yoga of Sovereign Science, the Sovereign Secret, chapter 9. So Pandit Maharaj, I hand over to you. Sitaram, and a cordial welcome on behalf of the management of the Sri Krishna Mandir in San Fernando. So welcome Panditji, and over to you.
Boli Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. Sitaram to all of you, and thank you, Anilji, for that wonderful welcome. Indeed, it's a privilege for me as a representative of Swaha and someone who also, I would say fairly well acquainted with the Krishna Mandir, Third Street, San Fernando, having grown up in South myself. So indeed, it's a privilege representing Swaha, but also joining with you as we discuss Bhagavad Gita, and in particular chapter 9, Raj Vidya, Raj Guhya Yoga. And it's interesting, Anilji, I don't know if I can get permission to share, right?
Yes, yes.
Right. Just making sure you're seeing this clearly.
Yes.
Okay. So, as I was saying, indeed, it's a privilege to join with you. And I do hope that for the next 45 minutes or so that we will benefit, all of us. We're all students of Bhagavad Gita. We're all devotees of Bhagwan Krishna. And we want to, of course, benefit meaningfully from this evening's devotion and this evening's lecture, rather. I want to commend the Krishna Mandir and the Pundits and the executive as well for the tremendous work you have been doing in promoting the message of Bhagavad Gita. So we go straight into this chapter 9, Raj Vidya, Raj Guhya Yoga, which, as you see there, the Yoga of Sovereign Science and the Sovereign Secret. So when I started, looking at this, and not just from today, but from always hearing this term, the secret and sovereign secret, royal secret, I would always wonder as a younger individual, what is this big secret? What is really so special that Shri Krishna is imparting to Arjun? And indeed, I want to take you back maybe to Bhagavad Mahapuran that you may have attended some time ago. And you will know in Bhagavad, quite often when we start the Yagya, you would read from the Bhagavad Mahatmya, or the Mahatma, as we say. And there's a beautiful episode that's given there where Narad Muni comes across a beautiful young lady and two elderly looking male individuals with her, and questioning her, how she's so young and vibrant looking, and they are suffering and struggling and appearing to be near to death. And as Mahatma tells us, that lady was Bhakti. And the two men were her sons, Gyan and Vairagya. And the message from Bhagavatam is that, of course, with Bhakti, there will be Gyan and Vigyan. And also without Bhakti, without true Bhakti, what happens? Gyan can dry up, as it were. This passion of Vigyan can evaporate. So cultivate bhakti. So we start on this premise then, also recognizing that in chapters 7 and 8, Shri Krishna Bhagwan introduced the various, and from the beginning has been speaking about various types of yoga, various pathways that lead to him, but he introduced the point of bhakti. But here now he's clarifying and going a little bit further, a little bit deeper. So here, this first verse in first slok in chapter 9. Idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshyami anusuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yagyatva mokshase shubhat. So he's saying to Arjun that I shall impart to you this great knowledge, confidential knowledge, and through which moksha, you can be relieved from the miseries of material existence. We can achieve moksha, and this is what we all want in life. This is our goal for studying Gita. This is what we are most interested in. At least we should be. And Krishna Bhagwan is saying, and look at how he puts it, that you are never envious of me. So he's encouraging Arjun. He is motivating him as he begins, and is interested in the way Krishna begins. Sri Krishna Bhagwan, thousands of years ago, imparting this knowledge like a true teacher. You know, he has a wonderful introduction where he is going through and explaining exactly what he's about to tell, or giving Arjun in advance, you know, the goal or the objectives, we may say, of what he wants Arjun to achieve by the end of that discussion that they are having. He says, so this knowledge is the greatest of all knowledge, the greatest secret, the purest knowledge that one can think of, and is perfection. It is everlasting. This is what Krishna imparts to Arjun. And then he clarifies further. He's saying, those who are not faithful in devotional service cannot attain me. So devotional service, and here he zeroes in on the point of bhakti and bhakti yoga. He says they never, once they are faithful in this devotional service, they should be able to attain him. He says those who are not faithful cannot attain him, and they have to return in this pathway, sansar, birth and death in this material world. Now, there's a point I want to make here also, faith. And, you know, sometimes we think just having belief in the Lord, or we believe in something, is important. It's not the same. We can have belief in something today, and then tomorrow that changes. Or someone tells us something else that we start to believe in more. But when we have that faith, firm faith, that is unshakable, that remains, you know, steadfast. So this is what we are speaking about, faith and devotional service. And in effect, this great knowledge, this is the way I would have summarized this first part then. Self-realization, to know the true self, Brahma Gyan, as we say. And it reminds me, this first part, or this introduction given by Shri Krishna Bhagwan, this Mahavakya that we all know, I am Brahm, Aham Brahmasmi, that realization of the absolute truth. So Krishna Bhagwan is saying to Arjun, through this path of devotion, bhakti, you can come to receive this knowledge, this self-realization. And then he continues now, verse 4, and I just want to make the point that I'm not going through every verse in case you get worried, but maybe a lot that we touch on. Mayad tatamidam sarvam jagad avaktya murtina. He says, O Arjun, in my unmanifested form, the entire universe is pervaded by me. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. And this is a very, you know, one that's very instructive, the statements of Krishna here. He says, everything that's created does not rest in me. And he speaks about his opulence, or he introduces that topic here that will be discussed. Those who remember, chapter 10 deals, you know, in a larger way with that great nature and opulence of the Lord, Ishwarya, as we say. Now, he's saying, although I'm everywhere, I'm not a part of this cosmic manifestation. He says, for myself is the very source of creation. This is what Shri Krishna Bhagwan is saying. And then he continues. He says, understand, O Arjun, that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. So this is an interesting statement. All beings rest in me, in him. But he says, and this is the part that, of course, is important. When he says, all beings rest in me, but he is not in them, is interesting. And, a few little statements I give examples to clarify. So if we think of wind, he uses the example of wind. I give you another example. Wind blowing over a garden of, blowing fresh flowers. It will carry a very pleasant scent. But wind that passes over, let's say, the dump or a ravine will carry a very unpleasant odor. But the wind itself is unchanged. The wind itself is unchanged. We think of Surya Devata, the sun shining down upon earth. As the sun shines down equally all over, the rivers, the plants, all the animals, we benefit from the sun. The sun's energy pervades everything. But so the sun is in all of us. In fact, is the basis of energy upon earth here, the flow of energy in creation. But we are not in the sun. Our energy is not in the sun. So this is what Lord Krishna is saying. Now, I want to make the point also as I go forward that I'm by no means saying that this is the only way that we can interpret it. I'm sure others, it's possible, may have other points of view. And if you do, we have any questions at a appointed time close to the end, we can certainly discuss any other views or questions. And then in speaking about all of this, the fact that all things fall under him, under this great Bhagwan, opulent nature of the Lord, the transcendent nature of the Lord. Reminds me of another statement, Ek Brahm Dvitiya Nasti. And we know this verse, I'm sure everyone, this mantra, everyone knows, Om Purnamida Purnamidam Purnat Purnadachate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Whatever is taken out of that whole part, the Lord, that Lord who is infinite in nature, cannot diminish the Lord. So we are saying that one Brahm, Ek Brahm, Dvitiya Nasti, he's that soul, supreme, Paramatma, but even so can exist in a million forms, infinite different forms. It doesn't in any way diminish his power, his strength, his true nature. And then we move forward. The Lord is also saying to Shri Krishna Bhagwan that the whole creation, cosmic order, is under him, under his will, and is automatically manifested again and again. He describes the material nature, Prakriti, and in effect mentions that entire creation, dissolution, sustenance of this universe is done by him. So everything in creation falls under the purview of Bhagwan Krishna. Everything created by him, everything springs forth from him, everything is maintained, sustained by him. In the end, dissolution comes. So you wonder, well, what about Brahmaji? What about Vishnu Bhagwan? What about Shankar Bhagwan? Lord Krishna is saying everything is the supreme. Then chapter 9, as we go to verses 13 to 15, they give a little bit of insight into those who are true devotees. He says, Satatam kirtayanto ma yatantascha drivrataha namasyantascha ma bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down to me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So I think I would have skipped over a few verses there. Now from 11 and 12, in describing, of course, bhakti and devotion, and explaining to Arjun that, of course, everything created by him, everything falls under him, but he is not bound by it. He's not affected by it. As we say, he's an impartial witness looking on. But understanding this, he now speaks about in verses or shlokas 11 and 12, which I didn't caption here, foolish individuals. A description of ignorant behavior is given then in verses 11 and 12, just as a caution to Arjun. And here in 13 to 15, he gives a description of what I will say true devotees, bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga, perpetually worshiping that Lord with devotion. This is what he's asking for. This is what he's saying. Those devotees who are constantly chanting his glories and with great determination bow down before him. These individuals are the ones that we will hear will move closer and closer towards that Lord. So those are the ones that practice what we will term bhakti yoga, that part of devotion, selfless service devotion to the Lord. Others who engage in sacrifice by cultivating knowledge and worship the Lord as, and look at how he clarifies here, Jnana yagena chapyani yajanto ma upasate ikatvena pritatvena bahudva vishvato mukham. One without a second, one as diverse in many, and one in the universal form. So here he's describing three ways in which a devotee can worship. So in other words, yes, he's saying Gyan Yoga is that high form of knowledge, that high form of worship, that secret, but he brings in here now elements of Gyan Yoga, Karma Yoga. So devotees then who worship the Lord as that one without a second. So, Advaita. There's Dvaita and Advaita, right? So Dvaita, that one without second, only one. Then that one who sees the Lord as diverse, many different forms, 10 crore devata, 33 million, 330 million forms, right? And then the Vishwarup form, universal form. So there are different paths that individuals can take. The point is to choose a path. So a true devotee will decide whether they are worshiping that one without a second, diverse in many, or universal, that one in the universal form. We see that Virat Swarup form. When we look at the Lord, we see all other forms in him. And then as he moves on, the next few verses, I've captioned it this way: everything is Krishna, everything is Bhagwan. There's another Mahavakya, we may say, Isa Vasyamidam Sarvam. God pervades entire creation. And then Ramchrit Manas also draw reference here. Siya Rame Sabajagajani Karu Pranam Jori Jogopani. Respect Shri Ram, Sita Mata in all aspects of creation, everywhere you go, in your fellow men. But here, Krishna Bhagwan is saying everything is pervaded by him. And by everything, look at what he says, and this is a very famous verse that I'm sure many of you would know. Aham kraturaham yagya, swadhaham aham aushadham, mantroham aham evajam, aham agnir aham hutam. He says he is the ritual. He's the sacrifice, the yagya. He's the offerings, when we say swadhan, offering to the fire for ancestors, for pitris, he's present within that. The herbs that are offered, the healing herb that is offered, the mantras that are chanted, the ghee, the clarified butter, the fire, verily the act of making that offering, he is present within it. So he pervades all aspects of creation. He continues speaking to Arjun. He's the father of the universe, mother, support, grandsire, purifier, sacred syllable Om, Rig, Sam, Yajur, Ved, all contained within Bhagwan Krishna. So this is what Lord Krishna is saying. Everything falls under him. Everything, he's in everything, but everything is not in him. And he's clarifying further, and he's saying, have that firm faith, and firm faith, I shouldn't say belief, I said already, faith is greater than belief. Have that firm faith in the Lord and worship devotedly. So he's saying he's a father, creation, mother, everything. The goal, sustainer, the master, Gatir Bhata Prabhu Sakshi. He's the witness, the abode, the refuge, everything, the basis of everything, the resting place. This is what Lord Krishna is saying to Arjuna. But he's speaking about, and just before, he explained that there are three types, three ways you can worship them. So we may say three parts. So one way you worship that undivided Lord, one many forms, or that Virat Swarup Vishwarup form, universal form. So we may say, choose a path. And I said to you, pick a path. And whatever you choose, do it well to the best of your ability. But here he now clarifies. And all pathways may not necessarily lead to the same goal. All pathways. Ramayana again gives a beautiful illustration. If you remember, Prabharshan Parvat Katha, where Shri Ram speaking to Bhai Lakshman, and he looked down, we get him plenty rain these days. When he looked down from the Parvat, the hilltop, and he saw all little streams of water flowing. He says, oh, Lakshman, look at the streams of water flowing down, they flow into larger rivers. And then the rivers eventually meet the sea. Whichever path you choose, it's still that water merges and becomes one. This is the goal. This is moksha, liberation, that he wants Arjuna to achieve. But all pathways are not equal. Some are easier, some more difficult, some will take a lot longer. And he describes this in a fair detail, 20 to 25. So here he says, those who study the Vedas and seeking heavenly planets. So of course, this is a literal translation here. They worship him indirectly. Purified of their sinful actions, they take birth, the pious heavenly planet of Indra. So we may say Swargadham. So they go to the abode of the Devatas then, Swargadham. Now what do we want? Swargadham or Vaikundham? Vaikundham, or some will say Sri Ram Dham, or we say Golok, Vrindavan Dham, Golok. Where do we want to go? Well, you will know. But devotees or participants here rather. Here, I want to make reference to this, another part of Bhagavatam. So I mentioned about the Mahatma in the beginning, the link, Bhakti, Gyan, and Vairag, and the importance of Bhakti in ensuring that Gyan and Vairag dawns upon an individual. Devotion is important. Here, remember in the 10th, Dasamskan, the 10th book of Bhagavatam, Govardhan Katha. And remember when they were all arranging to worship Govardhan Baba. And little Bal Krishna, so he went to Mother Yashoda, who was busy making preparations for the worship of Indra Devta, and she said, Beta, I'm too busy. Go and check your father. He's just relaxing in the hammock. Go and talk to him. And when he went to Nanda Baba, questioning him, why are we worshiping Indra? Why worship Indra? Why not worship? And as the Katha tells us, Govardhan. Why? We get everything, sustenance from Govardhan. The plants, the crops that we partake of, the grass that our cows graze upon, graze on and survive on, is there. Govardhan provides for us. Why not worship him? And then a whole, wonderful explanation is given of how rain even falls. There's geography written there in that Katha, Govardhan Katha. But the point is, even in Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna made that mention to that. Why worship that form, Indra, when you could worship who? Govardhan. Who's Govardhan? Krishna. He's Krishna. Govardhan Giridhari. So he's saying, purified of sinful actions, yes, you are elevated. Yes, you are blessed. But you enjoy godly delights. You become, you exist in that heavenly plane. And remember, there are different types of moksha, which I won't go into in detail, but just to mention the four in passing quickly for those who may be interested. There's Sayuja, Salokya, Sarupya, Samipya, Salokya. So you could go to that plane, the same, plane as the Lord, that same place. of the devatas, but you may want something more. You may want sayujya, total immersion. You may want samipya, to be in very close proximity with the Lord. So devotees, moksha itself has various facets. And then moving on, he says, when they have enjoyed the heavenly pleasures, sense pleasures, and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to the mortal planet again. So, and what happens? Say, sansar, endless cycle, repeated birth and death. So, he is clarifying further. He's saying, oh, Arjun, everything has come from him. He pervades entire creation. Everything is him. But there are those who still may not recognize that. He's saying, definitely, if you seek to come to him, but by doing so, you worship in other ways. And, there's a term that is bandied about. I'm resistant saying it, but, if you read so many commentaries, they refer to these devatas as demigods. I don't like the term demigod, but I'm still saying it. But he's saying, focusing and seeking the gains, we may say quick gains, of a particular devata or one form, after exhausting, and spending a certain amount of time in that heavenly abode, you come back once again. He's warning Arjun. But those who worship him with exclusive devotion, ananyas chintayanto ma ye jana paripasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham, meditating on his transcendental form, constantly thinking of him, right? Exclusive devotion. He will look after their needs. As literal translation says, I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. He looks out for them. He assists such a devotee who worships him with exclusive devotion. So all pathways are not equal. And this is what he's saying. So choose a path, but it is important as we worship, as we learn more and more about Bhagwan and what he's saying for you and I, or saying to you and I through his discourse to Arjun, to encourage us, to motivate us to tread along this path of Bhakti Yoga. Understand that it's not easy. We persist along the path, but steadfast devotion, steadfast, unwavering devotion is important. And then the best method of worship, Bhakti Yoga. So this is how, coming to the end of at least the slides here, Gyan Yoga, we may say, is great, extremely great. There's Gyan, knowledge, wisdom. There's Vigyan that we know of, experiential knowledge. After we have gained a certain amount of knowledge and we can put that into practice. And that is extremely important as we want to know ourselves and know the Lord, and to learn more and more about Sanatan Dharma, but to ensure that we cultivate that relationship with the Lord. Gyan Yoga, extremely good. He's saying it is more secret, or we may say greater than Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga may seem strange. Many people say, Karma Yoga, do good, be good, help others. Karma Yoga, Gyan Yoga is better than Karma Yoga. But Bhakti Yoga, and I shouldn't say better, but more secret, as he would have termed it. But Bhakti Yoga is the greatest secret of all. Why? It's so simple. It's so easy, as he said, even chapter 8. And then he will elaborate further in chapter 12, how easy it can be done. But it must be done disinterestedly. Remember? No sense of I-ness or mine. That comes later. But I'm sure you know about Bhakti Yoga and the discussion that was given in chapter 12 as well. So the best method of worship now, he is driving home the point of Bhakti Yoga in these last few set of verses, shlokas. He says, and this is one that I love and I'm sure many of you would know quite well, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yom Me Bhaktya Prayachati Tadaham Bhaktu Pahritam Ishnami Prayatatmanaha. He says, whoever offers to him with love and devotion, bhakti, a leaf, patram, pushpam, a flower, phalam, a fruit, toyam, water, whatever we offer to him with devotion, he will accept it. And this begs the question. The Lord is saying, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. And I want to make a point here, and I hope no one feels offended, or pundits who may be on, and the executive members, viewers or participants, and Anil ji, but just to mention certain things that I see are happening, and I'm sure even your Mandir, you want to ensure that people are well educated and they understand why they're doing certain things. You know, there's something called blind ritualism. We want to avoid that. So blind ritualism, just going through the actions because you're told you have to do so, but you don't understand why you're doing it. So I make reference, and forgive me if you may have done this. So you pick 1,000 tulsi leaves to offer upon the shaligram. If that is your wish, that's your desire, and of course it is written, that is highly recommended, but understand, 1,000 leaves, pick 1,000 leaves, you may destroy a tulsi plant or destroy a few plants. When in Devi Bhagavad itself, it says offer just one. You could even pick the leaves from that have fallen and wash them out and use them, place them onto the saligram. And even Devi Bhagavata mentions it can be taken from one and reused, washed and reused. Now we won't do that because of course we have access, right? Like Vrindavan, we have easy access. You have your Tulsi plants all over, but show that reverence and respect for Tulsi Mata too. So I'm making the point, and there are those who will say, but if I do offer the 1,000, then I'm at fault. I'm not a good devotee during the month of Kartik. I'm not doing all that I'm supposed to do. But there are so many other references. People are becoming confused. They are being frustrated. They don't understand, you know, why they're doing certain things. And our pundits and certainly temples such as Krishna Mandir would have been doing wonderful work to educate others, educate their congregation on the importance of certain rituals. So I'm not saying, and Krishna is not saying don't perform certain rituals, right? But here he's saying offer with love and devotion. So you could offer the 1,000 with no love and devotion, or with less love and devotion, but that one that is offered with firm faith, bhakti, shraddha, bhakti will be accepted. The Lord will accept it. Again, I go to Ramchrit Manas to give an illustration. Shankar Bhagwan Parvati Mata. Shankar, this is given in Balkand. Shankar Bhagwan came home. He said, "Oh Parvati, Bhojan, where's the food? Let us sit and eat." She said, "I cannot eat. I cannot bring food for you because I have not finished Vishnu Sahasranam part." And Bhagwan Shankar says, "Oh Parvati, to a smile. Ek bar Ram Nam, just once chant that name of Shri Ram with firm faith and devotion." With a smile, he said it, Parvati Mata chanted it, and considered that she had done the Vishnu Sahasranam path. Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam. It is the bhav, that attitude with which it is offered, that's most important. So this is what he's saying in Shloka 26. And then 27. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer. This is a very important verse, at least in my estimation. I'm sure for all of you as well. Yat karosi yadasnasi, yat jo hosi dadasi yat, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. Offer it to me. Whatever of austerities you perform, let it be an offering to me. And now why is he saying all of this too? He says, and I'm saying avoid blind ritualism. We have rituals for a reason, to condition us a certain way, to ensure that we slowly elevate and we rise above that ladder of spirituality. And yes, we are all, you know, treading along that path of whether it's bhakti, gyan, karma, karma yoga, whichever form of yoga appeals to us most. But here Krishna is speaking and starting the discussion and clarifying further before he gets going even further detail in chapter 12 of bhakti. But he's saying, you know, sometimes in our actions, through our actions, we may still falter. He's saying, whatever you do, O Arjun, O son of Kunti, let it be an offering to me. And this is something that's quite practical. We do, when we do this, every time you do your puja, in a temple or at home, we say Krishna Arpanam. We offer it to that Lord. It is an offering given, calling the name of Bhagwan Krishna. So these things are innate. We know it, you know. They're there already. Ancestors have left this legacy for us, but sometimes we forget. Let everything be an offering. Now, if everything has to be an offering, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you give, then we may run into problems. Whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you give, austerity, penance, let it be an offering to the Lord. And then there are a number of other things in between also. He would have mentioned, apart from those individuals who are worshiping him, and of course, seeking to move closer and closer towards him, he even clarified and he mentioned about sinners, verse 30, which is one, I didn't put the slide up for that. Even the sinners can come to him. So once they are treading that path of bhakti, devoted service, and faithful bhakti, faithful devotion to Bhagwan, so they may have committed certain indiscretions, maybe sinners in our eyes, but they have come from that same one Brahm, that Paramatma, and he's saying he will accept them. He will accept them once they start treading along this path of bhakti. And then here, the final verse, he mentions, engage your mind, always thinking of me. Man mana bhava mad bhakto. Madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mam evaisesi yukta evam atmanam parayana. He says, think of me, bow down to me, be completely absorbed in me, and surely you will come to me. This is what he's saying. Now, in the verses that went before, he would have mentioned every devotee, even those of a lower birth, have that opportunity to achieve perfection, spiritual perfection, to become one with that Lord, to achieve moksha, liberation. And Ramcharitmanas, again, remember, we're talking about Bhakti Yoga. It is mentioned the importance of Bhakti. And I give this short, quick example. Kahara Gupati Sunu Bhamini Bata Mano Eka Bhakti Kadanata. Jati Pati Kula Dharma Barai, Dhana Bala Parijana Guna Chaturai, Bhakti Hina Narasoi Kaisa. Dhana Bala Parijana Guna Chaturai. Speaking to Shivri Mata, Shri Ram mentions, he recognizes no other kinship other than bhakti, devotion, despite caste, lineage, dharma, reputation, wealth, your physical strength, whatever it may be. He recognizes bhakti higher than everything else. And this is what Shri Krishna Bhagwan is saying. Shri Ram said it to Shivri. Here, Krishna Bhagwan is saying to Arjun, think of me, be completely absorbed in me, and surely you will come to me. So, stop sharing at this time. So when we ask what is the secret, and what is this greatest secret of all, the way I've understood it is Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga. And Bhakti Yoga, extremely important. Going along the path of Bhakti, certain things will dawn upon an individual. Gyan will be there. Karma, we engage in right types of actions. Now, I want to make one point before we invite any comments or questions. Sometimes people may say, well, we are following the path of Bhakti. So I'm following Bhakti Yoga, devotion, steadfast devotion to the Lord. But our actions may tell us otherwise. Some of the things that we do may not exactly fall into the category of Bhakti Yoga. So it may be a little bit of Karma Yoga, that's intermixed. And nothing is wrong with that. And this is why Lord Krishna is saying, when you get to that point, or as you persist along this path, yes, we will be distracted from time to time, or Arjun, he's speaking to you and I also. If you're engaged in service, it must be dedicated service, devoted service. Offer yourself selflessly, help others, assist, but as far as possible, offer it disinterestedly. He will say this later on, but more importantly, when you offer, let it be an offering to me, whatever it may be, your actions. So there's another important concept that I wanted to mention as we talk about Bhakti Yoga. And over, we know the term, would have heard about Nishkam Bhakti, Sakam Bhakti, worshiping that Lord, you know, whether we are worshiping with some goal in mind, and Krishna Bhagwan touches on that, or whether it's Nishkam, Sakam, without any sort of desire in the mind, or only desire, if even that is, you know, something to look at in a negative way, or only desire is to achieve the Lord, to become one, union. So that's the point of yoga. So Bhakti Yoga, the term is Sharanagati, and Sharanagati, complete unconditional surrender to the Lord. And Bhakti Yoga is taught to Arjun when he felt that Arjun was, of course, filled with devotion. Remember, he was dejected, despondent. And sometimes it is when we are at our lowest state, Arjun was close to that perhaps, that certain emotions and the conditions prevail in our mind that helps us to, you know, pick ourselves up and move forward because of bhakti, devotion. There's that drive within us, or that desire then to persist along that path becomes easier when we are in such a state. That's the situation for some. So Sharanagati, that term, that maybe you may discuss some other time, extremely important. Extremely important. And complete surrender. What is it? And I'll give one quick illustration just to make the point also. Remember, with, again, I go to, well, this will be Mahabharat, Draupadi. Draupadi being disrobed, being harassed by who? By Dushashan, pulling off the sari. And she's pulling back. She's holding back, but she's praying to the Lord, but she's pulling back. And then, if you remember, Bina aaj kaj Maharaj laj gayi meri dukh aharo dwarika nath sharan mai teri. She began to pray to that Lord wholeheartedly, absolute, complete surrender to the Lord, pure bhakti, and the term Sharanagati. And at that moment, the Lord heard her prayer, heard her cry, and of course, we know what happened. She was saved, she was protected. So throughout this chapter 9, from verse Shlok 1 all the way to 34, Shri Krishna is explaining to Arjun this great knowledge, this highest knowledge that is a secret to many people, extremely easy for one to achieve him, for one to achieve moksha liberation is extremely easy. The secret is there, but you have to persist. There will be distraction. There will be, you know, hardships that may come your way. There will be others that will pull you away from your pathway. But this path of bhakti is easy. It is easy. It is lovable to many people. And when I say easy, it's not easy as in 1 or 2 days you'll get it. It is easy for one to do, easy for one to start doing, but to perfect it and to reach that high state will take quite some doing and accomplishment. So this is what I wanted to share. There's a lot more that I know I could have mentioned, but I feel that I was already taking a fair amount of time. I will ask Anilji if there's anyone who has any comment, or maybe from you, firstly.
Okay, thank you very much, Panditji. Panditji, you've done an amazing job on a very intricate chapter. And I want to thank you. I want to thank Swaha for joining with Sri Krishna Mandir on this most auspicious occasion. So on behalf of the Sri Krishna Mandir, on behalf of the devotees of the Bhagavad Gita class, on behalf of everyone who is here, our profound gratitude for taking your time and imparting words in such a simple and beautiful way. So thank you, Panditji. I would like to, before we go to any questions or comments, I want to recognize the presence of Pandit Devendra Rampasad. Panditji, thank you for attending and gracing us with your presence. And also the chairman of the Sri Krishna Mandir, Sri Mukesh Maharaj. Mukesh, welcome and thank you for joining us. So let me at this time open up if there are any questions or comments. And as always, this is usually the awkward silence part. So people could message me privately or feel free to comment openly. If not, we will bring this session to a close. All right, but first we'll have some announcements. Okay. So let us two more items. One is some brief announcements, and then the other would be the closing prayer. Okay. So Punditji just delivered a wonderful discourse on chapter 9. And I did not think it would have been possible to encapsulate the essence in 45 minutes, but Punditji, you did such a wonderful job. So thank you again. This Friday is another lecture at 7 p.m. Pandit Deepak Maharaj will be joining us for that session. And the session is a very simply titled session, which is Surrender and Be Happy. And it talks about the art of letting go, but never giving up, and achieving what we want in terms of our goals in life, using the principles of Bhagavad Gita. So we would invite everyone to attend. The invitation will be sent out tomorrow, as well as the link to join. Okay. So with that said, and very importantly as well, Pandit Devendra Rabasad has coordinated with Pandit Rudy Maharaj of the Mandir. And the Mandir is hosting Gita Jayanti on Saturday, the 3rd of December. So we'll be starting at 7:30. Chanting will start at 9 and then will end at around 12:30. So everyone is invited in person to the Sri Krishna Mandir on Tot Street. Okay. So, and we really hope everyone would come and take part in that wonderful occasion. So with that, I would like to bring today's session to a close. And as always, we offer everything to the feet of Sri Krishna. Hey, Bhagwan Sri Krishna, all that we do directly and indirectly comes to you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Shri Hare Krishnaya Vasudevaya. Hare Paramatmane. Pranata Klesha Nashaya. Govindaya Namo Namah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And everything starts in the name of Sri Ganesh and ends in the name of Sri Ganesh. Hey Bhagwan Sri Ganesh, please remove all of our obstacles. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Thank you everyone again. Really appreciate your presence. Sitaram, see you all this week, Friday at 7 p.m. Be safe. Bye.
Sitaram.
Sitaram.